everybody. It is Laura Key, the Realty Goddess of Los Angeles, California. I help to establish the community one house at a time. And that doesn't just mean buying and selling houses. I also help you plan for important things in your life like generational wealth. So I am here with my absolute fabulous and my most favorite attorney, Cedric Collins. Hi, Cedric. How are you today?
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, we have really had a good series. This is the sixth part of our six-part series. But guys, don't freak out because I'm actually going to be having Cedric on a lot more. But I want to kind of give you a recap of what we've been talking about. And if you've missed any of it, you got to go back and watch it. It's just a wealth of information. So our first episode talked about what is estate planning. And that was extremely important on exactly what it is that you need to start preparing. And that's thinking and getting that conversation going. Our second episode was the probate process. Then we did wills versus trust. There is a difference. Then we did guardianship. Who's taking over your babies? If something should ever happen to you, you want to make sure that they are taken care of. And then last episode, we did essential docs. Blew my mind. I was so ready to soak all of that information in. Cedric, you are just such a wealth of information. I
Thank you
really
so much.
appreciate you. I really,
I
really do.
appreciate the opportunity to be able to speak, to your audience and just educate and empower because this is such an important topic.
Well, I can tell you right now, they are loving it. All of our feedback has been very positive. And guys, you always can reach out to Cedric. His contact information is here and at the end of our broadcast as well. But today, we're actually going to talk about maintaining your documents and your trust and all this stuff together. Because, guys, if you don't maintain it, you might as well not have done it. Because this is the part that I see, Cedric, when families come to me with documents that are outdated, they at 20, sometimes 30 years old, and it's just not relevant anymore. So I'm going to pass this platform to you right now because I also need to know, what do you need to do to maintain your estate?
That's a great question, Laura. Now, there's actually a critical step that must be taken before we even get into the maintenance part of your trust. So now we have this revocable living trust. We've gone out, we've met with an attorney, hopefully with someone that we trust with our legacy, and we have this stack of documents. Now what? And see, for many people, unfortunately, that's where it stops. They've gone out, they've spent several $1,000s, whatever they've paid, right? And now they have this stack of documents that just sits on the bookshelf somewhere. Maybe they're savvy and they keep it in a safe, but then they don't take any proactive steps to do what's called funding the trust. What is funding the trust?
Yeah.
Your assets don't magically appear in a trust because of a legal document. There must be active steps that you must take in terms of retitling your assets, contacting your financial institutions, your banks, your stockbroker, and letting them know, hey, I've established this new revocable living trust, and I'd like these assets to be titled into the name of my trust. And we see this happen more often than not with individuals who maybe take a kind of a do-it-yourself approach, and they've gone out and it's better than nothing. But guess what? If these assets aren't properly funded, if your trust isn't properly funded, then it's not going to work as intended. And your family is still going to wind up in court and conflict because you
Right.
basically have an expensive paperweight, basically.
Right. Yeah.
An
Sitting
expensive
there doing
paperweight.
nothing.
So it's not just the documents that make this work. And that's why it's so important to seek legal counsel who can help you properly fund your trust after it's been established. So that's the first step because it's just an expensive. I keep saying this because we see this over and over again with individuals that didn't seek out proper legal counsel, and they created this trust, and now their bank accounts are still in their names. They didn't retitle the house into the name of the trust. They haven't done the things for their insurance and their retirement, set that up to correspond with the trust, and so now someone passes. And it's like we spent all this money and we wasted this time because now all of our assets are still going to be sent through the probate process.
Wow.
Okay. So that's the first step. Now, what happens beyond that? What we recommend is every 2 to 3 years, have your trust reviewed. one of the great benefits of being a Legacy One client is that we offer complimentary trust reviews every 3 years as a part of you just being a Legacy One client.
Oh,
Because
wow.
we want to have this relationship with you over your lifetime. And we want to make sure, guess what? Things change. What might change? There's deaths in the family. Maybe the people who you appointed as legal guardians for your children, they've moved away and they're not the best people to serve in this capacity. Maybe
Right.
you've acquired additional property. Your life has changed, and more importantly, the laws change.
Ah, I had one, Cedric, where they had actually assigned an executor to the estate, but he passed like 7 years, and then when it became time to enact and do everything, there he wasn't there anymore. No one reviewed it and updated it.
Absolutely, and that happens more often than not. And that's why, from a planning strategy, we could advise you on how you can put contingency and backup individuals in place. But then, if you only have one individual, you certainly need to make sure that person's still around. If
Yeah.
that person is going to be the one that's going to wrap up your final affairs for you, and that's why we recommend every 2 to 3 years break it out, knock the dust off of it, take a look, sit down with your family and figure out, hey, is this still what we want to happen if something happens to us? Or have the laws changed? What's changed? Like
Right.
just in 2020, we had the Secure Act that was
Mm.
enacted, and you can Google that and do some research on that, which really impacted the estate planning attorney because it impacted 401k. Those who were planning
Oh,
with
wow.
401k. So not to make this to delve into that topic too deeply, because that's an entirely different discussion, but that was a major change in the law that prompted a lot of estate planning attorneys and their clients to look at revising some provisions in their trust to accommodate or to make sure they're in compliance with the new laws. So as an example, I had my trust updated last year as well. And this is what I do for a living. So if
Yeah.
I'm doing it and I'm an attorney, well, how much more should you be doing it with your own trust and with your own family?
Wow. That's really important. It used to be, I know I laugh, but it's the truth. Remember years and years and years ago, a lot of our elders would just put this in the beginning of their little Bible, the family Bible.
It's
And
true.
that that just doesn't stick and hold. There's just too many things that have changed. That I always tell people, even in real estate, it used to be years ago, you could spit in your hands, shake your hands, and you had a deal, right? And nowadays, you cannot do that either. Everything must be documented in order for it to go through. And even then, sometimes you may still hit bumps, but at least you have a roadmap and you have a guideline for what you need. So I'm going to ask
Absolutely.
you a question off the cuff.
Okay.
We are in the middle of, we're still in the pandemic. It's 2021, January 2021 now. And COVID didn't magically go away on December 31st.
You didn't.
Do you think this will affect future documents for estate planning?
You know what we like to see different is perhaps the process, and the documents can be the documents are notarized. We're in California, so we know that there's some states that if you want to have your trust notarized, which is an option, trust can either in California, your trust can either be witnessed or it can be notarized. But for best practices, we encourage notarization. And so right now, that's still having to be done in person.
Yes, I'm a
So that's
notary. So, yes, I get called quite a bit.
that's one thing that we'd like to see done differently. As of the date that we're recording this video, we haven't seen any legislation where California has authorized a notary to be a notarization to take place via virtually.
That's right.
And so that's one way that maybe California jumps on board in the future and says, okay, now we know for safety precautions, we can have these notarizations done via video and they still be valid. But as of the date of this recording, notarizations via video still aren't valid in California. They're not really recognized. So that's one thing that might be able to change in the future, we're hoping. So now the entire process can be done virtually. So for right now, when we're executing or signing trust documents with clients, they're done in person. Now, I've been able to conduct our signing ceremonies where
Hmm.
I'm guiding the clients through their trust virtually, but there's still a notary that's present right there in the room.
Yes.
So that's the only thing that I can see in terms of maybe a procedural thing that might change for social distancing protocol and things of that nature. But that's it. Other than that, they're still going to require a wet signature. And the notary for right now, the notarization must take place live.
Wow. Yeah, and I know that even for loan signatures, I still have to show up for that. It's not something that, even though your real estate documents can be done, virtually and with electronic signatures, not the actual signings. I'm still getting calls for loan signings, loan docs, getting those done. And I'm really going to be following how that's going to be done in the future. I think we're going to see some good changes out of COVID, because out of mother necessity, it happens. So I think
Absolutely.
I'm going to watch for that. So Cedric, since this is our sixth series, what would you like for people to understand the most from our series of importance?
Well, I think just having the conversations, begin having these important conversations with your family members. It's so critical. If you want to pass down this wealth to the next generation, I believe that so much emphasis has been placed on building wealth
Yes.
as opposed to passing it down. So you work so hard all of your life, and even if you're a younger person, you've worked for what you have up to this point. We like to encourage you to preserve that. So
Yeah.
even if you're a single individual, several of our clients are single. They don't have a spouse. They don't have any children, but they still care about what happens. So the most important thing is, do you care about what happens to your loved ones and to your assets when something happens to you? And if you do, let's first of all have that conversation with your family. You can get in contact with myself or another licensed attorney who can begin to now document these conversations and memorialize them in either a will or a revocable living trust, whichever is right for you. You'll consult with your own attorney and get that advice as to which form of a testamentary instrument is right for you. Is a will right for you? Is a trust right for you? So now we're not just having the conversation about it at the dinner table. We're now memorializing it. We're putting it in writing, and we're placing it into the hands of people that we trust to execute that plan
Mm,
should something happen to us, either by death or by incapacity.
right. And guys, I have to say ditto, because I do see this on the real estate side, where families are, you don't even have the time to properly grieve, because all of a sudden now you're thrown into this, where's the paperwork? What do we do? Type of situation. So it's better to plan now, and then let your family know that you have this in place, so that their ease of mind can be put at ease. But guys,
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now, I've already adopted Cedric into my family. So he's just a wealth of information. He knows exactly what to do. And I know that I can trust him with any of my clients. And I will be happy to send them to him, because he will take good care of you. And that is what is important to me. So Cedric, personally, I want to say thank you so much for doing this series with me. I know we're going to be doing some more things together, but I am really grateful for the time that you have taken out and spent this time to educate our viewers and my clients on what they need to do to have their estates in order.
And thank you so much, Laura, for having me. And I really appreciate you trusting me with this information to share it to your clients. And I'm grateful for our relationship as well.
Great. Now, guys, you can definitely reach Cedric. All of his information is at the end of this video, how you can reach him on his social medias, and also how you can reach him at his office. And don't forget, he gives you a free consultation. I done told y'all free 99 is the best. So you might as well get your foot in the door and start the conversation. So that is it for us today. And this is the end of this series. If you've missed any of these episodes, please make sure you go back and watch them, because you're going to learn a lot of things. My name is Laura Key. I am the Realty Goddess of Los Angeles, California. I help to establish the community one house at a time. I wish you nothing but love, light, and blessings. Why not go out on a limb? Isn't that where the fruit is? Yeah, it really is. Sugar. See y'all next time.